Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Parker, a wellness educator for adults in midlife and beyond. Today we're going to look at a habit that has become surprisingly popular online: drinking 1 glass of salt water every day. Some people promise sharper focus, better digestion, fewer cramps, even glowing skin. Others warn about blood pressure, fluid retention, and kidney strain. My job is to help you understand what actually happens inside your body when you make a daily ritual out of salt water, so you can decide with clarity and confidence whether this is wise for you. For decades, we were told to fear salt completely. Then came the trend that swings the other way. Add salt to your water, and you'll suddenly become more energized and hydrated. The truth lives in the middle and depends on your unique context. Sodium is essential for life. Your nerves, muscles, and fluid balance rely on it every minute. But the dose, the concentration in the glass, and the state of your health change everything. Your body is brilliant at maintaining a narrow range of sodium in your blood. When you routinely push that system with concentrated salt water, a cascade of compensations begins. Some are harmless, some are uncomfortable, and some can be risky if you already live with high blood pressure, kidney issues, swelling in your legs, or you've been asked to follow a low-sodium plan. Let's begin with the first thing that happens the moment salt water touches your tongue. Your taste buds detect sodium, and your brain switches on a salivation reflex. For a few minutes, you may feel more moisture in your mouth and a perception of waking up, the same way a savory broth can feel stimulating. That quick alertness is real, but it's not hydration. It's a local response in your mouth and nervous system. If the water is clearly salty, the solution is hypertonic, which means it contains more dissolved particles than your blood. Hypertonic fluids draw water toward themselves in your stomach and intestines that can slow gastric emptying and pull water into the gut. For some people, this feels like warmth and fullness. For others, it becomes queasiness, cramping, or a looser bowel movement later in the day. That is not a detox. It is osmosis. As the fluid moves forward, receptors in your small intestine sense the sodium load. Your body responds by releasing hormones that guard fluid balance. Aldosterone and vasopressin enter the conversation. The kidneys begin preparing to excrete the excess sodium to keep your blood within its narrow normal range. That means two things you will notice very quickly. You will feel more thirsty, and a little later, you may urinate more as your kidneys try to push out the extra salt. Many people misinterpret this as, "The salt water hydrated me so well, I'm peeing more." In reality, your body is correcting the overshoot. If your day already includes salty foods, cheese, bread, sauces, or cured meats, that morning glass can become the tipping point that keeps this corrective loop turning all day. What does all of this mean for your blood pressure? In salt-sensitive individuals, which include many adults over 50, people with a family history of hypertension, those who carry extra abdominal weight, and anyone with kidney disease, regular extra sodium increases the volume of fluid your blood vessels must carry. Your heart works a little harder to move that volume. For some people, the pressure barely budges. For others, it creeps upward. The tricky part is that you may not feel it. You might only notice subtler signals. Your rings fit tighter by evening, your ankles leave a sock mark, or you wake at night with a dry mouth, even though you drank plenty of water. Those are hints that your fluid regulation system is working overtime. What about the claims that a daily glass of salt water improves digestion? There is a grain of reality here, but not because salt water strengthens your stomach acid or magically resets your microbiome. The mild stimulation of saliva and the ritual of sitting to drink something before a meal can nudge your body into a more prepared state for digestion, especially if the liquid is warm. However, You can create that same effect with plain warm water, a gentle herbal tea, or a mindful breathing pause before eating. You do not need the sodium load to get the digestive cue. Another common promise is fewer muscle cramps. Cramps have many potential drivers: fatigue, nerve excitability, low magnesium, mineral imbalance, and poor sleep. Sodium can help when cramps come from heavy sweating and large salt losses, such as a very hot day of yard work or long endurance exercise. In those specific conditions, an electrolyte beverage that contains not only sodium, but also potassium and a small amount of glucose is useful. But for an average day in a temperate environment, adding salt water is like wearing a winter coat to sit by the fireplace. You may simply overheat the system. Now, let's talk about skin. Some people swear their complexion looks plumper when they drink salt water in the morning. Short-term, increased sodium can pull water into the extracellular space. You might notice a slightly fuller look. For others, the effect appears as puffiness under the eyes or a more pronounced facial swelling after a salty dinner. Whether it looks like a glow or like puffiness depends on your baseline salt sensitivity and how much water you drink through the day. If the goal is healthy skin, a consistent sleep schedule and steady daily hydration win every time. The liver often gets mentioned in saltwater conversations. The idea is that salt somehow activates bile flow and helps the body detox. Your liver is constantly processing byproducts of metabolism, and bile production depends on many inputs, including fat in the meal and the flow within the biliary tree. There's no need to force this with salt water. Gentle movement after meals, fiber from plants, and not eating late at night are the simple, unglamorous habits your liver loves. Let's walk through what 1 month of daily salt water might look like for a typical adult. In week 1, you may feel a novelty bump. The taste wakes you up, you pay more attention to your morning routine, and you might perceive better digestion simply because you are slowing down to drink. By week 2, your kidneys are doing daily extra work to move the sodium out. If your meals also skew salty, you might notice more evening thirst. By week 3, subtle fluid changes can appear: tighter rings, mild ankle marks, or waking to urinate at night. By week 4, if you check your blood pressure at home, you might see no change or you might see a small upward trend. If you are salt sensitive, that small trend matters over time. None of this is dramatic in a young, athletic, low-salt eater. But in the real world, for many adults over 50, there's enough background sodium in the diet that the extra glass each day is simply unnecessary. Does this mean salt water is always a bad idea? Not exactly. There are targeted contexts where a carefully balanced electrolyte drink is appropriate. Hot weather work with profuse sweating, a long hike, a stomach bug recovery plan when guided by a clinician. These scenarios use specific concentrations of sodium, sometimes with glucose to help absorption, and often include potassium. That is not the same as tossing a teaspoon of table salt into a glass and calling it wellness. Precision matters. So what should you do if you're curious about the benefits people claim, but you also want to protect your heart, your kidneys, and your sleep? Here is a calmer, safer approach that respects your biology. Start with your baseline. For 7 days, drink plain water the way you normally do, and measure your blood pressure at home in the morning and evening. Note any nighttime awakenings to urinate and whether you see ankle marks by evening. Keep your salt in cooking as usual. This gives you a real starting line. If you still want to test a morning ritual, shift to warm plain water before breakfast for 7 days. Sip it slowly while you breathe gently. See if your digestion and focus improve just from the ritual itself. Many people discover the effect they were chasing had nothing to do with sodium. It was the pace, the warmth, and the attention. If after those 2 calm weeks you want to try a very mild sodium addition, do it with respect. Think of a pinch rather than a spoon. The water should not taste clearly salty. Keep your meals intentionally on the less salty side and avoid highly processed sauces and snacks. Track the same markers for 7 days. If your evening thirst climbs, your rings tighten, you wake more at night, or your blood pressure rises, you have your answer. Your body is telling you this habit doesn't serve you. Certain people should not experiment with salt water at all without explicit guidance from a clinician. If you have been asked to follow a low-sodium plan, if you live with hypertension, heart failure, kidney disease, or significant swelling of the legs or abdomen, if you take medications that influence fluid balance, if you are recovering from a gastrointestinal illness, and someone suggested salt water, that is a different conversation with specific formulas and medical oversight. What about minerals like magnesium and potassium? These matter for nerve and muscle function and for the steadiness of your heart's rhythm. Adding salt water does not provide those. In fact, raising sodium without the rest of the orchestra can make the music worse for some people. Focus on food sources of minerals first. Leafy greens, beans, nuts and seeds, yogurt if you enjoy dairy, and a variety of fruits and vegetables cover most needs when included consistently. If supplementation is ever considered, choose it thoughtfully and with professional input, rather than improvising with daily salt water. Hydration itself is often misunderstood. You don't hydrate a day by chugging in the morning. You hydrate a day by drinking steadily from morning through afternoon, pairing fluids with meals, and listening to thirst. 2 simple habits change everything. Enjoy a full glass of water within an hour of waking, and pair a glass with every meal. If you exercise or spend time in the heat, add another glass. This calm rhythm keeps your kidneys and blood vessels relaxed. You do not need to spike your system with concentrated sodium to feel energized. Most people feel better by pairing water with movement. A 10-minute morning walk and a glass of water afterwards wake you up more reliably than a salty drink. Now let's look at real life. Daniel is 62 and started adding salt to his morning water to help with what he called brain fog. He felt sharper that first week. When we unpacked his routine, 2 things changed at the same time. He stopped skipping breakfast, and he began sitting quietly for 5 minutes to drink. We kept the ritual, but removed the salt. 2 weeks later, his focus stayed improved because it was the structure that helped, not the sodium load. Ravi is 57 and works outdoors. In hot months, he sweats heavily. For him, an electrolyte plan is essential, but he uses a balanced drink with known sodium and potassium content on days of heavy sweat, not every day of the year. On cooler days, he returns to water and mineral-rich foods. His evenings are calmer because his body isn't pushed when conditions don't demand it. Martin is 70 with well-controlled hypertension. He saw a social media post about soul water and tried a glass every morning. By week 3, his evening blood pressure readings crept up and he began waking to urinate twice nightly. He stopped the salt water, focused on steady daytime hydration and lighter dinners, and within 2 weeks he was back to his previous baseline. The lesson was simple. His body prefers rhythm, not spikes. Let me give you a practical template you can start today that gives you the calm energy many people seek from salt water without the risks. On waking, sit and drink a glass of warm water slowly while you take 5 long nasal breaths. Eat a simple breakfast that includes protein. Take a 10-minute walk or spend 5 minutes doing gentle joint circles for your neck, shoulders, hips, and ankles. Keep another glass of water near you and finish it by mid-morning. With lunch, drink a glass of water. Mid-afternoon, pause for another glass and a stretch break. With dinner, sip modestly and avoid very salty sauces late at night. This steady routine supports blood flow, digestion, and brain clarity. If you want a flavor cue, a squeeze of lemon or a slice of cucumber in your water adds pleasure without pushing your sodium. If you ever feel lightheaded on, standing, unusually fatigued, or intensely thirsty despite drinking water, pause the experiments and speak with a professional. Those can be signs of shifts in blood pressure, blood sugar, or other issues that deserve direct attention, not a blanket prescription from the internet. Your health is not a trend. It is a conversation between your body, your daily habits, and the realities of your life. So what happens to your body when you drink 1 glass of salt water daily? Your mouth wakes up. Your stomach may slow for a bit. Your intestines may draw in water if the solution is clearly salty. Your kidneys work to push the extra sodium back out. Your thirst rises. If you are salt sensitive, your blood pressure can drift upward, and your body may carry a little more fluid in the spaces around your cells. You might feel a temporary boost in alertness because you created a morning ritual, not because you discovered a miracle. Over weeks, the extra sodium often adds more strain than benefit for the average adult who already gets enough salt from food. There is a kinder way to get the results you want. Choose ritual over novelty. Choose rhythm over spikes. Choose balanced electrolytes when conditions truly call for them, and plain water most other days. Choose food first. Choose steady movement. Choose earlier hydration and a lighter evening. Your body appreciates consistency far more than tricks. If today's breakdown gave you clarity, reflect on the single change you'll make tomorrow morning. If you know someone who has been experimenting with salt water and feels confused about mixed results, share this message so they can make a calmer decision. And if you want more science-made simple guidance for midlife and beyond, subscribe so we can keep building a community that treats your body with respect, patience, and practical wisdom.